2013 AD. I was on the news because I witnessed an ice cream truck hit a famous dog. It just plowed into it. I was the only one to see. News vans parked outside my cousin John's house. I was living there for a while I got my life back together, after the whole drowning thing with my ex-daughter. It was my responsibility to tell everyone what happened to the dog. A CBS station nabbed the first interview. An old lady with a bowl cut asked me, "So what happened to Little Rougher, the pup with the heart of gold?" I told her I didn't think ice cream trucks could go that fast. The ice cream song was playing the whole time. Do, 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 do. You know the ice cream truck song. I'll never have a Choco Taco again. The lady asked me, "You got an ice cream after it hit the dog?" I said, "Yeah, Choco Taco." We finished up the interview, and at the end, the lady asked me if I wanted to say anything else. This is where I messed up. I said, "Yeah, I love the quality programming on CBS." The lady's head kind of tilted at that. I didn't think anything of it. So they aired the whole interview, including my plug for the quality programming on CBS. And it turned out there's a very small, kind of snooty group of people online who as a whole didn't like the quality programming on CBS. Someone posted the clip there with the title, "Watch this idiot pwn CBS." To them, because of my speech impediment, they thought I said CPS with a P as in Patrick. They thought it was a subtle and very sarcastic jab at CBS, which I would never do. Why? Because I respect the teams who work on NCIS, NCIS Los Angeles, NCIS New Orleans, SWAT, FBI, FBI Most Wanted, Magnum PI, NCIS Los Angeles, and NCIS New Orleans. But then some other people, they did hear me say CBS, and were like, "He actually said CBS. Some guys are just really unlikable, and everything they say sounds kind of shitty." It was a meme for a while. Did he enjoy the quality programming on CBS, or did he say kind of shittily that he enjoyed the quality programming on CPS? Gayle King even talked about it on CBS this morning, which was huge for me. One thing led to another, and CBS sued me. Huge court case, nation watching, last day of the trial. My lawyer called in a speech therapist. He asked, "Have you seen a lot of mouths?" She goes, "Yeah, I've seen a lot of mouths." He said, "So tell us about Devon's mouth." And she said, "Devon's mouth is the absolute worst mouth I've ever seen. His tongue is lazy, his teeth are stupid, his cheeks are fucking dumb. Honestly, I'm amazed he can say his own name." The judge sent the jury away, and they came back 2 minutes later. The judge thought everyone left their wallet or something, but they were like, "No, we're done." It was amazing because a jury, 12 people, all have to agree on what to say. That's why it normally is just 2 words, guilty or not guilty. But they didn't say either of those. No, the moment they all left, each of them independently said, "That guy, Devon? Yeah, he's a piece of shit." So technically that was the verdict, written in stone on the paper. The crowd went nuts. All the flags fell down. Someone punched a cop. "Order, order," the judge was shouting. It put him in a thick pickle because he couldn't let me go, but he couldn't just keep me either. So the judge made me wait until everyone else left for the night. Hours. Just waiting. "So what's it like being a judge?" I asked him. He ignored me. 10 hours went by. Finally, the judge stood up. He zipped up his windbreaker. He walked to the door, turned out the lights. I was in the dark. I asked, "Is it over?" And he said, "Go home, you fucking loser." It's funny because it reminds me of this other time. '33 AD. Yeah, we can talk about it. I was Jesus. That's the thing, though. It was me. Like me right here, me, Devon. I know what people say about me because strangers say it to my face. "I don't like you," and "Get out of here," and "Hey, what's that smell? What could it be? Oh, it's you, because you're a piece of shit." And that's what people told Jesus too. They freaking hated Jesus. Me. I don't know why. I was born Jewish, in a barn, teen pregnancy, super shameful. It's not like I had a lot going for me. But even then, like the king, right when I was born, said, "Hey, someone go kill that baby piece of shit, jeez Louise." No one let me forget about being born in a barn. Constant roasting. Even at the bank and stuff, people will be like, "Hey Jesus, close the barn door on your way out." My life sucked. The New Testament left most of it out. Like, I used to watch a bunch of sheep. There was one I called Barry. He was my best friend. The big shepherd told me to kill him, and I was like, "No way, man, he's my best friend." All the shepherds roasted me. What a loser. He can't even kill his best friend. They killed Barry and made me watch. Super messed up. Just clobbered him with the wheel cart they used to transport goat cream. So I said, fuck it. I went on the street and was like, guess what? Jesus isn't holding it in anymore. I'm sick and tired of people being mean to me. I told the lady at the market, hey, stop selling me rotten figs. I told the Roman soldiers, stop saying you want to fuck my mom. I told the kids at the Oasis, hey, you know when you throw dog shit at me? It's not funny. One of the kids' dads in front of the kids said, shut up, God hates you, you're a piece of shit, I hate you, my friend hates you, God hates you, you're a piece of shit. So, and this is where I messed up, as like a sarcastic thing to say, kind of being snotty, I was like, no, God loves pieces of shit like me. Everyone in the Oasis heard me say it, and they told their friends about it. Oh, did you hear about that guy who said God loves pieces of shit? Most people were like, fuck that guy. But to a very small group of, let's be honest, kind of snooty people, they thought I was being like really smart. They repeated what I said way too much and it became a huge meme. Did he say God loves pieces of shit? Or did he say kind of shittily, God loves pieces of shit? A bunch of people showed up outside my cousin John's place, which is where I was staying while I got my life together. They demanded to take me to court. My cousin was like, yeah, whatever, take him. Jesus sucks. It was the biggest court case of the century. The jury didn't even need a minute because there's just one guy. And he was like, listen, if everyone wants to kill this guy, you can do it. He's a piece of shit. Everyone went nuts. All the tapestries fell down. Someone punched a cop. They did the whole crucifixion thing, which was really uncalled for. The guys who thought I was being really smart, they stood by my cross and were like, don't worry, we'll make sure everyone remembers Jesus. Any last words? And I was like, yeah, if someone's a piece of shit, you gotta be nice to him. Then I died. Because when everyone makes a big deal about killing you, that's what happens. So my followers started Christianity, which tracked really poor people for a while. Big flop. Like 50 years went by, the kids of my followers were telling people, hey, you gotta hear about this Jesus guy. And the kids of all the people that killed me were like, okay, what's so special about Jesus? And the kids of my followers were like, he said you gotta be nice to pieces of shit. And the murderers' kids were like, pass. And then I don't even know why this one dude went, he's impossible to kill. Somebody tried, but he frickin' came back. And the murderers' kids were like, go on. And the guy was like, you like God? Well, guess who's God Jr.? And the murder kids were like, Jesus? And the guy said, bingo. And my followers' kids quietly to the dude were like, what the fuck are you doing? Then they said louder, but also he said you gotta be nice to pieces of shit. Ugh, pass, said the murder kids. So that one dude said, unless you don't believe in Jesus, then you can treat him like shit, because technically it's good for them. And the murder kids were like, ah, sick. (1493 AD). So I'm born again in Spain like 1500 years later, and it's just like before. I'm born in a barn again, but they call it a granero. Everyone roasts me all the time. Hey, close the granero door on your way out. They kill my favorite sheep, El Berry, and I'm so sad. Then I hear about Christianity. It turns out there was a guy born in a barn, check, and everyone hated him, double check. So I go to the Holy Catholic Church and I'm like, this guy really speaks to me. What's the rest of his story? And they're like, shh, 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 we'll get to that. But first, torture. So they strap me to a cross and start torturing me, yanking on my pubes, like literally roasting me, cutting open my stomach, just totally uncalled for. And I'm like, no one finished the story. What happened to this Jesus guy? And they're like, somebody tortured him to death. It was probably you. And I'm all, man, dang, I'm sorry. And they're like, whatever. They cut out my intestines and they raise them to the sky and say, hey, Jesus, this one's for you. So yeah, you guessed it. AD stands for after Devon. All right, thanks for hanging in there. You're probably like my best friend, so I guess I'll tell you one more. 1931 AD. I was an erotic gardener in Beverly Hills, Tenderness Lawn Care. Usually people asked us to turn their tall bushes into a long set of gams, or Bradford pear into a neckline, or some gardenias into a big old wagon. The whole thing was very hush-hush, invite only, no real names, that kind of thing. So one day my boss said he had a special assignment for me, a challenge he called it. Said I was the perfect person for the job, and that I was to report to a sprawling estate tucked away on Wilshire at once. I was flattered. When I arrived, a long-faced butler opened the door. He led me to the garden around back. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. A layer of ivy covered the true thriving garden beneath. A real shithole, I said, a little too loud. The butler corrected me and said there were explicit instructions to recreate the back of a knee, not a shithole. It wasn't that kind of home, he said. He handed me a folded black and white photograph of a woman. That one, he said, pointing to her left exposed knee. And you'll need to use all of the plants, no removing. He pushed up his top lip and sucked on his dishwater gray teeth with a long, swollen tongue. I got to work. The back of the knee was nothing special to me, but I had to respect the owner's wishes. I figured if I could turn banana plants into a husband's mouth, the back of the knee would be a cinch. I ripped, I twisted, I cut, I combined. I wasn't a gardener, I was a mad scientist. The thing about making the back of the knee is you need to show a little bit of calf or else it won't read properly. I had just begun the sloping when I felt a tickle in my throat and I had a coughing spell. Specks of blood covered my workman's rag. It's working, said a voice behind me. The butler looked over me from the back porch. Only now he wore a lab coat and he held a glass of cold lemonade. Excuse me, sir? I stumbled toward him. My groin suddenly felt like it had frostbite. He said, all these plants were ravaged with STDs. I wanted to see if they would transmit them to humans. Looks like they can. ST what's? I coughed. Sexually transmitted diseases. You know, from plant sex, he said. At this point, I was on the ground. My face was completely swollen, blood pooling in my eyes, my gonads were numb. In this particular life, I hadn't received a single day of formal schooling, so I had no idea what he was talking about. Who's the woman in the photo? I asked, wheezing and coughing up blood. It was a cigarette ad, you idiot. He sneered and he kicked me off the back porch and into the garden. Any more questions before you choke to death on your crotch blood? He asked, taking a long pull of lemonade. I took a minute. I thought about my life until that point. I thought about how I had escaped to the garden when I was younger, behind the tulips so my father wouldn't find me. I thought about how it was probably time for the prairie roses to be coming in, back home. Any day now. I thought about the dog-tooth violets, and how Mom used to grow them out front, and how I set one on her grave the day I left for Los Angeles. I pulled my head up from the dirt. Mister, I gasped. Do plants kiss? For the first time, he looked like he felt sorry for me. He lowered his glass and softened his brow. All the time, Devon. All the time.